So this is going to be our first dive into these 24 principles of self-mastery. And I'm excited about this. It's literally been what I've dedicated my entire life towards, was not just mastering principles, but in integrating, understanding, and being them. It brought me to heights spiritually that I don't think people would even believe the stories I could tell them. I have in regards to my experiences, but it's just something that these principles, and some of them are also a part of me that I've added to it, or they've never let me down. Every single hard obstacle, problem, weird kind of, head in the sky, kooky, energetic, crazy experience I've had, these have been solid. Not once. So later in spirituality, you'll get to a point where you're just so much in the present. You're not going to really be thinking a lot, so you're not maybe going to be using these mental strengthening, mental reprogramming, eternal alignment techniques, practices, but I'm just sharing something that I actually fully believe in, resonate with, and has made me the strongest I've ever experienced in my life. And I'm just trying to give back to those, So for those of you who might say, like, yeah, no, definitely, I'm real serious about myself and my principles. Well, not many schools have a list of principles. I mean, they're kind of like laws, like universal laws. Now, there are universal laws that you could probably look up, and I haven't quite done that yet. But you might already be in alignment with them and not have to know them all. I just know for me and my path and my growth, it was almost like, I was always like a seeker, one who wanted to seek for truth my entire, like, almost life. And didn't hear that word seeker until college when I was like 24. But when I found out what was real, what was true, what happens when you align yourself with source, with these principles, well, I can tell you this much. It's an exponential return, or an over unity return, to simply embody them. The principles are living, tangible frequencies. They're not just concepts. They're not a mental, thought idea. They're actual frequencies. And when you, and actually, when I was studying them, the fibers of how this universe is created and operates are these principles. There are other ones and more of them, but they are living strands of consciousness. And once you really maybe can master them, you'll be able to look at someone, and if they're doing something that just seems a little off, you can tell what they're lacking in terms of this principle, that principle, what they might need to, if they want to be stronger or have more protection, or not get caught up in certain energetic situations, you would be able to help people heal, or you could easily see what they needed to heal through these principles. I mean, it's just, they just did a lot for me. I mean, as cool as it is to have psychic gifts and stuff, you will have that. But, the core of who you are will be what you can expand on and as with your consciousness. And to have some tangible concept of these principles, as opposed to just kind of like a fog and just knowing, I do the right thing. Well, this was just a great tool. And so I'm going to be going into it over a couple of videos here. I'm going to share some of the ones that I loved the most, and kind of what they did for me. When I was kind of getting involved in the spiritual world, the world of, you could call it maybe the Tao. I don't know. It's cultivating the Tao, the way of the Force, spiritual practitioner, spiritual scientist. There's an interest in being able to kind of be able to have like your spiritual powers back in full effect, whatever they may be, whether it's levitation, whether it's being able to have the psychic senses, whether it's being able to communicate clearly with higher dimensional beings, whatever higher dimensional gifts that you can have or develop. Well, the gifts just aren't anything until you can master and understand all core principles, attitudes, responsibilities, virtues, just ways of living, the way of the flow. Because that's it. Like, you could probably surpass, hours of meditating or a whole bunch of something by just listening to what your eternal self, your own intuition and soul guides you to do in terms of what's best for you to learn right now. And do it. And I'm going to say, if you're resonating with this, if you want to get to being all that you can be spiritually, which is obviously unlimited, this is what got me very far in my journey and my life. And not to mention, it kept me safe. It kept me protected. I kept myself protected, but these principles played a major role in my advancement, my growth, enhancing my connection with Source, with my eternal self back then, just everything. And it's really kind of brought me to a point of impeccability, which is another principle. Impeccability. I don't even know if I have words. They're amazing. So just don't forget, they're not principles only. They're living, tangible frequencies of consciousness that you can develop, learn, and embody. And you want to try to be able to master them. There's certain percentages of spiritual integrity that each and every person has. And this was back when I was, another life in the spiritual group I used to be with. But back then, it was like you had to have a certain amount of just basic overall spiritual integrity to be able to go through a Stargate. And that was a big deal to me when I read that. These days, since a lot has changed and things are changing, I don't have any like numbers for you like that, but I will say, if you want to make a shift fully to fifth dimensional consciousness, I don't think I have a list of things to say, well, you need to be able to do this or have this, but I'm sure there's some things on that list that, you probably need to have really down pat. And I would say unconditional love, and to be unconditional love, to become unconditional love in all that you are, as a base foundation of expression and energy, and everything else comes after that. That's the one I would say. Unconditional love. And then you grow them also. So that's one of mine. Principle of unconditional love. So I'm going to go ahead and I think put this list on the computer so you can actually see it visually. But I just want to go through these kind of real quickly so you can have an idea of what are the principles that I believe in. And also, as you evolve and grow, you'll notice that you'll learn new principles and other virtues that you want to embody that are applicable for certain situations and what you want to have in your life. So, for example, number 11, engage detachment, permitting the all-oneness to be without assigning critique, condemnation, or value judgment, understanding the isness of and validating the all-oneness.